Greetings from Whitetop Mountain, Virginia. We are back on the White Blaze, and of course we're headed south. So I figured I'd come out here tonight to do my post-hike gear review. It's a beautiful night. We hadn't been out in a while. It is a work night, so we're not going far. We're only going about 0.5 over to the spring on the side of the mountain. So it is a weeknight, but it's also a holiday. So I'm not sure what to expect. I'm not sure what to expect as I trip on that rutted trail. There could be somebody out here, I'm not sure. I've never ever come out here and found somebody in this campsite, but I know that people do use it. So I guess we're gonna find out in just a few minutes here. It's not far. So this is home for the night. Got the old Sea to Summit Traveler inside the tent. Minimal food just for the night. But what a view here, huh? And way over there behind that, just underneath that giant cloud, you can just barely see Hump Mountain, Little Hump, and also Grassy Ridge. Very cool. Linville Gorge over there, you can see Table Rock, Hawksbill. Yeah, what a nice night. I'm glad we came up here. I'll bring you over here and show you the spring. I've never seen this thing not running, and I've never treated the water. Got some cheer wine in there right now, a couple Canada Dry sparkling waters. Gonna get crazy tonight. Yeah, it's beautiful, clean, cold water. And the blueberries are looking decent so far. First couple weeks in August and they'll be ripe and ready to go. I think Garvey's happy we came out here too. So those of you who have been following the channel for a while have heard me say it before, and I'll probably say it again and again and again. Gear will not get you there. There's not one piece of gear that I can say helped me walk from Delaware Water Gap to Harper's Ferry. There's definitely things I needed that I couldn't do without, but I didn't need those specific pieces. In other words, I pretty much could have used any tent. The tent didn't get me up the hills. It didn't help me cross the creeks. It didn't get me across the rocks, but it did give me a place to sleep at night. Having said that, probably any tent that's waterproof would work, but this one worked out great for me. We're going to talk about the tent first. For those who didn't watch the first gear video that I did prior to leaving, I'll put a link to that video on the screen if you'd like to watch it first to see what we started off with. So I have absolutely no complaints about this tent. This is the Big Agnes Copper Spur High Volume UL2, and to say that it would fit two people is kind of a stretch in my opinion. You'd have to know each other really well, and you'd probably have to be spooning the whole time because it's pretty tight in there. For me and Garvey, it was great. It's plenty of room. I tend to be kind of claustrophobic to start with, which is why I've pretty much been a tarp guy my whole life. This is my first tent ever. So I wanted something that I wasn't going to feel confined in, or that I wasn't going to feel like I was sleeping in a coffin, for instance. So this fit the bill after much debate, considering other brands. I'm glad I went with this tent. The only thing that I would change about it would be the weight. Another quick side note, I started off with 7 of the tent pegs, the DAC aluminum tent pegs that come with the tent. I started off with 7, used my Deuce of Spades trowel for the 8th one for most of the trip. Ended up breaking that, throwing that trowel away, finding not 1 but 2 more of the exact identical tent stakes that go with my tent. So left with 7, came home with 9. These are great spikes, by the way. They're just the DAC aluminum spikes that come with the tent. And I thought about switching them out for some of the titanium ones that I have. And I put them on the scale and the weight is identical. So I'm not really saving any weight by going to a nail type peg or a shepherd's hook or anything like that. And these hold a lot better in the ground, in my opinion, than a nail spike or a shepherd's hook. If I were going to be hiking in the Whites where there's tent platforms, I might take some nail spikes, but actually, truth be told, I took a rock and nailed these spikes into some wood several places on the trail where there were tent platforms, and they held just fine. So the sleeping pad I used worked out great. I used that Venture Outdoors accordion style Z-Rest knockoff. Worked perfect. No complaints about that. The Sea to Summit Traveler 2, the 30-degree version, I love. I'm glad I brought that, not my 50-degree Traveler. That would have been not quite enough for the first week or two because there were nights where it got really cold. The first night out of Delaware Water Gap, it was probably in the mid-30s. Yeah, it was kind of cold that night. And if I got a little warm, I could always unzip it like a quilt and regulate my temperature that way. But no complaints about that thing at all. It's a little heavier than some of the quilts on the market, but for 200 bucks, or right around 200 bucks, you can't beat the price and the weight at 1 pound, 10 ounces. I thought about carrying a Coolmax liner in my 50-degree Traveler, but they were going to weigh the same. So I ended up just bringing the bag. No regrets about that whatsoever. I have it with me right now. I love that thing. My backpack, of course, you know, or maybe you don't know, but if you haven't, I'll put a link to that review as well. I've done several reviews on it. It is the Granite Gear Virga 2. I'm a big fan. Love that pack. If there was anything I could change about it at all, honestly, it wouldn't be the weight because it weighs half as much as some of the other popular UL packs on the market. The one thing I would want to change is to make it out of Dyneema so it is waterproof, or if nothing else, water resistant. The Virga, when it gets wet, it is a little bit heavy. It does dry out pretty quick. One of the benefits about the Virga that I always forget to mention in my reviews is you can take it and throw it in the washing machine. And I love that because when it does get hot and sweaty and funky, all it takes is just throwing it in my laundry with everything else and I'm good to go. Okay, moving on to the kitchen. The stove worked great. This is the Olicamp Ion Micro, or Micro Ion. I can never remember which order it goes in. In any event, it is a better built version of the BRS 3000T. In fact, this is the stove that the BRS 3000T copied. This is the original. And I am happy with it so far. Of course, I was very happy with my BRS stove for the first 600 miles also. And then it just stopped working. I have a feeling that's not going to be the case with this one. I have a feeling this is going to last me a long time to come. And as long as it works, I'll continue to use it. If I have any issues with it, I will let you know in the future. Still pairing it with the Tokes cup. That's been working out great. I haven't needed anything larger than a cup and a half of water for any of the meals I've made. And a lot of the time I'm using it just for coffee. Okay, so as far as the rest of the kitchen goes, this is what I kept my food in. This is an op sack. It is a 12 by 20. On day number 3, the Ziploc part of it just completely failed on me. It did get some holes in it in a couple of spots. I thought maybe I just bought a defective op sack, but the 7x7s did the exact same thing. They just, you can see, tore right along the edge where the zipper was, or the zipper itself would just completely peel away from the plastic. Either way, I'm done with these because my Ziplocs lasted me longer. I ended up using the food bag the whole trip and just kind of rolling the top. They do come in a 2-pack, so I'm going to use this one until it fails, and there's no doubt in my mind it will at some point. And no more op sacks. I think op sack stands for overpriced, as in overpriced Ziploc. So this is my water system. I had 2 64-ounce Sawyer bags and these Aquamira tablets. I had, I think, 40 of those. I can't remember. 2 packs of 20, I think, and I came back with like 5. I had the Smart Water bottle, which is, I think, a 22-ounce capacity. The Sawyer bags actually fit a little more than 64 ounces, so I think all in all I had about 5-liter capacity, which with a dog you have to have a large capacity. And I do a lot of dry camping, so having these extra bags to fill up and be able to camp wherever I want was a big plus. So I've picked up a couple of these CNOC bags, and basically just to see what all the hype is about. They're definitely more durable than a Sawyer bag by the looks of it, and I think it's better suited to a squeeze system. Now take note, I did not have any failures with these Sawyer bags, but I did not squeeze through a filter. I used them for water storage only. And the only failure I had was I lost a cap, and that was pretty much my own negligence. So I'm going to try this bag out, see how it works. I know some people have complained about them and say that they leak. So I'm going to see for myself. If worse comes to worse and I don't like them, I will go back to using the Sawyer bag. I had fully intended to get 2 of these CNOC bags before I left for Delaware Water Gap, and for some reason I just never got around to getting them. They do weigh a bit more than the Sawyer bags do. I'm going to try this out for the rest of the summer, see how it works, and give you a full report on it later. So this is the pack liner I used by Hyperlite Mountain Gear, made out of Dyneema. It has a roll top. It is waterproof. And I used this on the inside of my backpack to keep everything dry. It did a great job. I did not walk through any really long rainstorms, so I'm not sure how waterproof it is in the long run. But I did wash some clothes in it, filling it up with water at Dahlgren Backpacking Campground, and didn't see any water leaking out of it, which makes me think that no water will get in as well. So at night, this is my pillowcase. I put all of the clothes I'm not wearing as well as my backpack inside there. And occasionally I'll put something over the top of it just to make it a little softer. But I'm very happy with that. It worked out great and no complaints whatsoever. Okay, so the Frog Togs raincoat. Like I said, I really didn't spend a lot of time walking in the rain. And what time I did spend walking in the rain, it wasn't real heavy rain. It was just kind of light rain, and it wasn't an all-day type thing. But I will say, so far, it is a lot more durable than the old Frog Togs jackets. I wore this thing pretty much at least once a day, every day, usually in the morning. And it feels durable. It feels really tough. And so far I am very happy with it. I am more than satisfied that I got my money's worth. So for a $50 retail price point, this is a great jacket. I don't think there's anything else out on the market for $50 that works as well as this. Okay, so the shirt I'm wearing, I haven't really talked about this very much, but you've seen me wear it if you've been watching me hike for a while. I had this shirt on my hike through Virginia last March, and it is made by Outdoor Research. It's the Echo line, the same material as the Echo T and the Echo Briefs that I've talked about. And if you haven't seen that video, I think it's day 29 or 30. I'll put a link to that also, where I show some of the clothes that I was wearing on this past trip through Pennsylvania and Maryland. And I talk a little bit more about the Echo material. I really like it. I've got short sleeve, I've got long sleeve. Carried this the whole trip. This was my camp shirt. I would wear the short sleeve to hike in, and when I got to camp I would put this on and either sleep in this alone or sleep with this as my base layer, and my -33 merino wool hoodie would go over the top of it if it got cold. So very lightweight. I'm not sure how much it weighs, or honestly I don't know how much any of this stuff weighs. I did it one time. If you're interested, you could probably look it up, but it is very lightweight and balls up to next to nothing. So dries quick, breathable, not too clingy when it's wet. If you've not tried the Outdoor Research Echo T or Echo T long sleeve. I highly recommend it. Great hiking shirt. I've been using these things for probably 6 or 7 years now. Whenever it was that they came out, the very first year, I bought one and I've been using them ever since. So very happy with the Echo T. If you're looking for a good summer shirt that breathes well, lightweight, maybe consider trying it out. Before it gets too dark, I'm going to go ahead and talk about my headlamp once again. I think I've touched on this maybe 2 or 3 times now. Now that I've had a chance to actually get some use out of it, I've got a better idea of what it's like in the field. Now, when I first got this thing, I thought that it felt kind of cheap and not durable, but you know, I've kind of abused it. I've put it inside my pack in a Ziploc bag and kind of smashed stuff down on top of it during the day, and there's nothing wrong with this flashlight at all after 300 miles. So I think I charged it 1 time and that was it. The lowest setting has been great around camp. I think it's 3 lumens or something like that. It's ridiculously low. It has a medium setting, which is what I mostly used. I don't think I ever used a 350 except just here or there briefly. I didn't do any night hiking with it, but 350 lumens would have been almost overkill for night hiking. All the functions on the light work great. It's very easy. There's 2 separate switches, one for the white light, one for the red light. I really like that. There's nothing to memorize. There's no hold it down for 3 seconds and do this. If I want to lock it, I hold both the buttons down at the same time. It locks it. If I want to unlock it, I hold them down both at the same time, and it does the same thing in reverse. I just click the button for the red light if I want it, or for the if I want the white light. There's the 350. Yeah, it's almost blinding. So very happy with this light. I'll probably not talk about it anymore unless something fails on it. Very, very happy with the Nitecore NU25. To me, personally, this is the perfect headlamp for any long distance hike. Well, good morning. There's a beautiful view this morning. The clouds are just kind of hovering in the valley. Finishing up some coffee. And it is a holiday today, July 4th. It's going to be a busy day at work, so we're going to head back down the mountain. We enjoyed this little trip. Thanks for watching this little gear update. I hope that you found it helpful. If there was anything that I missed that I didn't talk about in my first video, please leave that down in the comments below and I will address that in the near future. And the next hike is going to be over that way behind us, up in the Grayson Highlands, Mount Rogers High Country. We're going to see some of my favorite trails in the Mount Rogers High Country, some of the less traveled ones and some of the more scenic ones other than the AT. So it's going to be a great summer. Lots more videos coming. And thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for hitting that thumbs up, and we'll see you down the trail.